We're called Mali Orchard Pistachios. We're about the second or third biggest pistachio orchard in Australia. We cover about 1,000 acres, about 400 hectares. We have roughly, between new plantings and mature trees, we have about 110,000 pistachio trees. A good harvest for us is about 700 or 800 supermarket tonne. Water is very important to us because the rainfall's so minimal. I think our yearly average is 180 millimetres annually. The trees just grow in pretty much virgin sand. They're grown hydroponically, so water's, the number one thing that you've got to get right on that to make a tree grow fruit. Yeah, because water's such a crucial part of the problems we face, we've always looked at ways that we can enhance the distribution of the water. We were one of the first people to use dripper irrigation because of water saving and a more even spread. We've been using drones to try and map the water distribution, but we've had trouble with wedge-tailed eagles attacking the drones, and we've had trouble with just the time it takes. So we've always looked at how efficiently we are watering the trees. Because of the topography of the property, the rolling hills or sand dunes in our case, trees could be watered well at the top of a sand hill and then they'd be overwatered at the bottom, or they could be just watered perfectly at the bottom and be bone dry at the top. All these are the challenges we face. Before we were introduced to the Ceres management system with the flights monitoring our watering, how we address those problems of even spread of the water. Originally, we set up some probes that could get mobile phone reception, which isn't very many places on our farm. Unfortunately, it was mostly sand dune tops, but we were able to establish just by having 2 or 3 of those mobile network connected probes how long we knew those trees needed to be watered for and what quantity. And every 10 years in the Murray lands, especially the area that we are, which is the Mallee well area, they monitor the water heights and levels. And every year an amount is allocated to us that we can irrigate with. And then there's a review and they monitor, whether the water's usage is sustainable, being overused, or whether it's being underused. They're trying to get as much value for the water as they can get while keeping it sustainable. And I've been asked to be on that review board that happens every 10 years. At one of the meetings, we were asked if we wanted to trial 100 hectares with the Ceres program. And because water is such an important part of what we do in that orchard, and it's do or die and crucial to get it right, I jumped at it. And also the information was easy to understand, but we're also told of other things we could do with it and other ways we could use it. So it exceeded my expectations. The flight data from Ceres has made a huge difference to us, even right from the first flight. In the first flight, we actually were able to identify 4 22-acre blocks. So that's almost 100 acres of area that we'd been having problems with, but we didn't know why, because our irrigation system only monitors electrical problems or voltage problems in the system, not hydraulic problems. And this straight away showed us exactly where the hydraulic problems were. We were able to go to those blocks that were identified in the very first flight and actually do something about it. And even though our season's divided into 2 parts, October to December is the sizing and hardening of the nuts and growing the shell. And then when they require the most energy and the most water is from January to February, where they actually fill the nut with the kernel that you eat. And we were able to get a flight in January, I think it was, quite early in January. And that flight identified 4 or 5 of these blocks that we knew the trees weren't happy, but we didn't know why. And this year, the gap was a lot closer. And I mean, when you talk about tonnages, and if your return is say around $8 a kilo for the nuts, you don't need a lot of ton difference to make a really big dollar impact. And I know when I've talked to, you know, my boss or my brother that I work with, you know, he sees the value in money spent to increase tonnage in any way or form, whether it's through fertilizer, extra water. But the beauty of this is you can put fertilizer and all sorts of things on and do it all perfectly, but if your water's not there, all the other money you've spent's wasted. So it's not even just an increase in tonnage, it's what aren't you wasting? Because if you spray those areas and the water's supposed to be going out there and you're spraying the weeds and you're repairing dripper and you're doing all the things you're doing, and then you don't get the same return, not only are you missing out on harvest money or tonnage, but you're wasting fertilizer and herbicides and all the things that go with it. So it's a bit of a no-brainer that if you can fix your water problems and distribute your water more evenly, any way that you can do that is going to save you a lot of money and increase your profit. That's what it's about. It's not about gross profits, is it? It's about net return. So we use two different lots of dripper. We use a 3.5 litre per hour dripper on the top of the hills, and we're using a 1.6 litre per hour dripper on the bottom of the hills. And then we will be able to see if that's working by the mapping in the very next season. I think the Ceres imaging will make a big difference in some of our planning and work practices in the orchard. It's worked well for me, and I would definitely advise anyone that asks me about it to implement it as soon as they possibly can, because it's going to solve a lot of problems for them and make their job a lot easier, isn't it?